The best applicants are the ones that you weren't looking for. And generally speaking, it's the same thing with your jobs.
The good this month is I closed on 9 grand, produced 6,700 of it so far. The bad is I have no consistency.
Money is not my God. I don't worship it. God will provide. And then ultimately what you'll wind up doing is you'll say, okay, you know what? I'm going to let that go because I know God will bring it back full circle. And if he doesn't, I'm going to learn the skills I need for when I'm ready for it.
Pricing a job between $80 and $100 an hour. If it's 2 people, are you pricing it strictly at $80 an hour, or are you doing that $80 per man hour?
So example A is Google ads. Example B is Facebook ads. When you say, which one should I do? Well, which one do you think is going to be more expensive per lead?
I would say
What is going on, good people of the world? Here with Mr. Ashton King, painting business owner, starting up or revitalizing in a sense and trying to put some systems together. So yeah, man, just wanted to touch base and hear a little bit about kind of what's going on in your business, the good, the bad, kind of give me a little rundown.
awesome. Hey, everybody. My name is Ashton King. Own Palmetto Coatings and Finish Co. in Columbia, South Carolina. The good this month is I closed on 9 grand, produced 6,700 of it so far. The bad is I have no consistency. So some months are really good. Some months it's like crickets. I'm trying to figure out kind of what I need to do to be better, essentially, at the end of the day. And yeah, kind of a revamp phase, essentially. Kind of got not sidetracked, but pursuing other things, and then wanting to get back into this, and really just trying to invest as much as I can all into it and just grow it.
Cool. Yeah. So tell me about the painting business itself. How's it set up? Employees or subs? Who's working with you? Where are you getting your leads? What does all that look like?
So far, the leads process is word of mouth over the years. No employees, just solo dolo right now. I do have my first employee supposed to be starting here on April 27th. Been in the process of kind of networking a little bit with other painting contractors that want to sub work out to kind of have a little bit more consistency on revenue wise. But yeah, really just word of mouth, posting on Facebook, posting on Nextdoor, all across social media. Hopefully, come across a post on somebody saying needing a painter for, and then I reach out trying to set up an appointment for them.
Sure. Sure. So let's talk a little bit about kind of what your goals are financially, and I guess for me, like what are you aiming toward in terms of the business?
Um, Again, the big part is just consistency. I want to be able to grow this thing as much as I can, but also just being realistic, becoming profitable and, having revenue coming in. So, on this next kind of turnaround phase, I'd like to at least be able to produce anywhere from 20 to $30,000 a month, and then as that starts to be more consistent, see where I can implement new ideas to grow to maybe 40 or 50,
Okay.
but definitely not trying to shoot
Okay.
something
So let me
over the
stop you.
moon.
Let me stop you. And if I cut you off, Ashton, it's just so I can give you the most out of the time. Please don't be
A hundred percent.
please don't be offended. And it's kind of a little laggy, so I don't. I'm not trying to cut you off too much. So let me ask you this: do you know how many painters you need to hit 20 to 30 grand in revenue per month?
I would say two painters. I mean, if I can produce myself 10, I would assume two would be 20 to 30
Okay, so you're producing on your own $10,000 a week or a month?
a
You're
month
doing a
where I
month. It
can,
takes about
yeah.
okay. So remember, you're working owner hours. So those owner hours and you got owner energy. When it comes to employees, man, sometimes you don't get the same output.
Yes,
So a
sir.
good rule of thumb, yeah, a good rule of thumb, man, and this is kind of what we base kind of what we can produce on is you really want to aim for about 3 grand a week per painter in revenue, generally speaking. So that means if you have three painters working on a job, they're going to hit 9 grand in a week if they're solid. That's
Hmm.
the epitome. If you look on a year basis, I think someone benchmarked it at each painter should generate about $100,000 of revenue So 10 painters would bring you to about $1 million in revenue if they were booked 40 hours a week. Okay. So
Hmm.
this way you have a good baseline to base off what your goals are. So in other words, reverse engineering that, right? In order to hit 30 grand, 30 grand's what, $7,500 a week.
Hmm.
I'd say you're going to need about 3 painters
Okay.
in order to hit that consistently. And that's a good starting point. Now, remember this, when you build this out, man, the painters don't include you. And that's a big transition. Do you feel like you're ready for that to allow someone else to go on your job and do the work?
100%. Because the more I think before, that's kind of like why I've been so hesitant is you never know what quality can be. But again, having a good interview process and, having good candidates to kind of, pick and choose from saying, these are what the morals match up with. I can trust them on a job. I would love that,
Sure.
to actually be able to focus strictly on getting new leads, closing new leads, setting up the appointments, and just focusing on the business side.
Love that. Good mindset. And I think early on, it's okay to show up at the job. It's okay to be a part of the job. It's not okay to be the crew leader. It's
Yeah.
not okay to be the guy. So let me ask you this. You said you have a new employee starting next week. How'd you find that guy?
Went onto Facebook and said, "Hey, these are kind of like, the ideas of the company, the mission statement. We're looking to, grow the team. Here's a pay range. If anyone's interested, reach out." And set up an interview.
Okay.
We did a phone interview and personal interview as
Good,
well.
good. So, hey, man, luck happens, and it looks like luck is happening all over for you, in
Yeah.
terms of how you're getting business and how you're getting an employee, right? So
Hmm.
that's call it God's favor, call it a lucky post or whatever you want to call it. The reason I'm saying that is because, like you said, consistency, systemizing. So what I like to do is leverage luck, which is a good thing, but don't rely on it the next time around. In other words, what I'm saying to you, Ashton, is we're not going to post again and hope the same good circumstance of the same good type of individual comes through your pipeline. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
So, one of the easiest ways to create predictability in these two very critical elements of your business, one being marketing, one being hiring. I'm going to go with the hiring route for now, because if you can control the supply, then I mean we know the demand's there, don't we? At this point, I think
Yes.
you
Yes, sir.
think you can find a customer. The supply
Yeah.
is the problem, right? But it's not just the fact that there's not people that want to paint; it's the quality of the individual that wants to come work for you. Is that true?
Yes, sir. It's
So
definitely
how do
harder
we
than
find them
trade.
without posting on Facebook is the question, right? Like how do we get these guys to want to work with us? So have you played on Indeed yet? Have you put out an ad there before?
I have not.
Okay. So you need to also, while you're doing this, become a student of the resources that business owners need to use to win the game. So there's three resources I want you to be a student of, from a business owner perspective. Number one is going to be Indeed. Indeed, you should create an account. You should look and see what it looks like from the employer side. Now, have you ever applied for a job on Indeed before you started your business?
Yeah, I have. It's super simple process for the most part.
Super simple. Well, the employer side's a little bit more difficult, right? Because you're
Yeah.
you're actually setting this thing up. You need to know how it works. Because if you're looking for employees, this got to be an area of expertise for you. Because what winds up happening is this thing called turnover, man. And I've experienced it, and everyone else listening to this, you're going to experience it. We can't build up our business where people want us to do the work, and then when it comes time for us to bring the painters, someone decides to quit, someone decides they don't want to work for us anymore, or someone does something they shouldn't. Now what winds up happening is you have to step in, and the only way we can prevent that is an area we go to and we just pull a lever. Okay, so we can create that system. And actually, in Drip Jobs, there's a DJ Academy area. Did you see that there?
I did.
So there's a course that I put, and it actually has my hiring process. And what that allows you to do is create applicants on demand. So essentially, you set it up one time in Indeed, you turn it on, and then you essentially create an automation. Every time someone applies, you get notified that they applied, and it happens. I mean, I get applicants every day. And some might say, well, I don't really need painters, it doesn't matter. It's like an insurance policy. So you pay the minimum amount that Indeed wants per day. I think it's $5 or so. And it just keeps your ad active on there. So what I wind up finding in my 10 years of doing this, brother, is the fact that the best applicants are the ones that you weren't looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was good right there.
And generally speaking, it's the same thing with your jobs. It's really interesting how that works. Because what winds up happening is when we start having to find an employee, what we wind up doing is making an emotional decision about that instead of a
Hmm.
rational, take your time, let's go through this process, let me figure out who you really are type of decision. Okay. And you want to get your business to a place where you're making both of those types of decisions in your hiring and in your marketing. Because with word of mouth, and how long you been doing this now? A little over a year or so?
So all in all, I've been doing it for 3 years. I started with
Okay.
$600 in my bank account with a newborn on the way, and I was like, Lord, if this is something that you would want me to do, just please keep providing. And He continued to provide and continued to provide. Um, and I definitely don't want to come off, not grateful by any means, but you just want a little bit more, and you're trying to figure out how can I fine tune this engine a little bit to where I'm able to be more predictable
Can I,
and pull in more
can I
revenue.
give you some insight? I'm a believer. I believe in God. I'm a firm believer in God. I believe that God wants us to be successful because it makes him look good. So you're not being ungrateful. It's his in his best interest for people like us to succeed because what we wind up doing is we represent when we get there, don't we?
Exactly. And that's like this
Okay?
whole rebrand. I
So
want that to be the foremost of this being kind of like
so
a
check
faith-based
this out,
company.
right? The mindset is it's not greed. It's I am going to make this happen with God's help, but I need to start taking some risk. And I think risk is the big thing that guys like us at first we think, man, like that scarcity mindset starts penetrating us a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And it usually has to do with finance. Okay. So when you operate like that, man, you got the creator of the universe on your back. So it's like one of those things where it's like, isn't that silly to not take a risk, to not invest, to not spend money that at that moment in time you might feel like is more than you can spend, but you're hoping for a return. And I'm
Yes.
telling you all this because it scares me that for 3 years you've been operating off a word of mouth. And there's two reasons that could be happening. Number one is you don't know where to put your money to market it.
Hmm.
Now, I'm sure you've heard of some areas to put your money, right?
Yeah. Facebook, next door, Google
And number two
SEOs.
is you don't have the money. I'm
Yep.
going to say number two is you don't have the money. So which one is it?
It's a mixture of both. When I do have enough money
That's
to say,
exactly
hey,
what winds up happening.
I want to be able to invest. And then there's that uncertainty that creeps in where it says, all right, I need to go ahead and just save this money. And by the time I'm ready to do it again, I have to replenish it again. And it's almost like a back and forth process.
Back and forth process. So you made a bold decision to hire someone. I think there was a conviction in you that said, hey, I'm going to make this step forward. Did that happen?
Yes.
That was a big deal for you, wasn't it?
A lot of sleepless nights and just prayer and just try like if
Okay.
I got to do this, I got to do this.
Because now you got someone else's family counting on you, don't you?
Exactly.
Okay. So what winds up happening here is that you made that big step forward and you got to understand you already don't have a safety net.
Hmm.
So you have to do what sometimes is counterintuitive and double down. Whatever you got to do because you got to make sure he has enough work. And we
Hmm.
can't rely on word of mouth to sustain our business. It's not going to happen. People have a lot more things to do, and word of mouth is not as strong as it was 20 years ago. Okay, so you can't rely on your customer. Yeah, you did a great job for them. After a week, they'll never say anything again about you or your company unless someone explicitly asks them about who painted their house. So that is something we don't want to bet on. So we need to have a system. Just like I told you about the hiring system, we need to have something where we pull a lever, we can get leads right
Yep.
now. How many estimates do you have scheduled for the rest of this week and next week?
3 for right now, and then I got
Okay,
3 more that I've reached out
that's
to.
okay. So doesn't it scare you a little bit? Because now you got a guy coming. And you need to
A
start
hundred,
selling some jobs, don't you?
yeah, 100%. The only thing that is
So watch
gives
this.
me a
Guess
little bit
what
of
winds up?
relief.
What's that?
I was saying the only thing that gives me a little bit of relief is the other painting company that wants to sub me out work. We've been in talks with everything, so he's already got me 2 weeks booked out with him. And then with the other ones that I'm closing, I'm hoping to get a little bit more momentum where I have, 3 to 5 jobs lined up and consistently doing that on
Good,
top of promoting.
good. But you and I both know that the job you're getting subbed out on is not enough.
No, to
Okay.
actually, it's I'm trying to use it as a stepping stone.
It's and I like that approach. Okay. And but what's going to wind up happening if you don't inject something that changes the trajectory fast? I'm talking about a big bold move. Then this is just going to keep happening, and you're going to keep having to rely on that subcontractor relationship.
Yeah.
There's not going to be enough money to go around. You're going to be operating from a place of scarcity because you now need jobs instead of you are in a position where you have jobs, and when you go into a customer's house, they can feel that, right? And they're going to
Hmm.
say, hey man, he doesn't come across as desperate. We don't want
Yeah.
that. So what we need is a strategy. Okay, I'm getting all the way to the point of you need a strategy, and that strategy is going to come down to three things. Okay, there's three things that, from a new business owner, we're going to start you fresh, that I feel like if you did today, it would put you in a position where you can receive leads on demand. Okay, number one is, how much money could you spend right now if I were the marketing agency and I could guarantee you leads? How much money could you spend? What's the most amount you'd cut me a check for?
$2,000.
Okay, it's a good start. It's a real good start. But now let me ask you again. What's the most amount, exhausting all resources, legitimately, if you had to, if this was it was make or break, what's the most amount?
$5,000. If it was like where my back's
There you
against the
go.
wall and I got to
So you
put,
found
yeah.
it. So you found it. I love this. It's a good example, Ashton, because what this is doing is just really designed to just open up your thinking, because what you got to understand is on the other side of your fears is the life you want. It's the freedom you desire for your family. Okay. It's God's design for whatever He put in your heart for this business and the people that it will serve in years to come. But don't think for a second you're not going to be challenged internally of what's uncomfortable. And sometimes you have to say, money is not my God. I don't worship it. God will provide. And then ultimately what you'll wind up doing is you'll say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna let that go because I know God will bring it back full circle. And if He doesn't, I'm gonna learn the skills I need for when I'm ready for it. So there's
Exactly.
no loss. It's a zero. There's no loss there. So the illusion is, what winds up happening is we think if I give up that $5,000, I'll never get it back.
So can I ask you a question real
But it's
quick?
not true. You can.
Awesome. If let's say the most I'm willing to spend is five, what I really like to be spending is around two. When I to take a huge leap, how would you want to approach that? Would it be just this basic, get some yard signs, some door hangers, or would it actually be using
No,
Facebook or ad groups like that
I'm
to
getting there.
generate
I'm
leads?
working on. I got to set the foundation.
I got you, brother.
Ultimately, you got to understand that there's this thing called buyer intent. Are you familiar with this term?
Not really. A little bit, but
Good.
not
So I'm
really.
going to teach you it. Okay. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. So when you come across it, you understand, hey, that's what Tanner was referring to. Now you're going to see the game differently. So essentially, what winds up happening when it comes to buyer intent is the fact that, and I'm going to use you as an example. Do you ever go out to eat with your family, your significant other, or wife?
I do.
Okay. When you're hungry, where do you typically look for a restaurant? Like, what's your first play? Like, we're in the car, honey, we're kids. What are you doing at that moment? Are you driving around aimlessly, or what are you doing?
Going to Google and putting in what are you in the mood for? Italian, pizza, and seeing what it pulls up.
Yeah. So, would you agree that your intent to buy from that restaurant is as high as it could possibly be because of the medium in which that you use to find that restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. So is it different than if you were just kind of cruising around town and you saw like a couple restaurants and you're like, I guess we can go there, right?
Hmm. Because then you gotta like think a little
Okay.
bit, and you're like, well, there's this and that.
Got it. Stop. So example A is Google ads. Example B is Facebook ads. Do you now
Hmm.
understand the difference between the two?
Yes,
Okay. So when you say which one should I do, well, which one do you think is going to be more expensive per lead?
I would say Google.
Good. So you say Google, right?
Hmm.
And because we understand now that intent is higher, you think Google understands this pretty well?
Exactly. So they're gonna make sure to benefit
Exactly. So tell me about Facebook. Do you think that Facebook leads are going to be probably a little bit cheaper?
a little bit cheaper, but more people looking, maybe not so
More.
ready to buy.
Right. So you're going to get more reps, more volume. So watch this. What's good about doing both is that you get a healthy mix. So you get a volume difference, you get a volume push with Facebook, but you get an
Hmm.
intent push with Google. But here's the thing. Would you agree that Google's probably more competitive because other business owners like me and you have understood that, hey, man, I like when people come through Google because they have a higher chance to buy because they probably have already decided how much they want to spend, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't have to convince them to get a paint job. I just need to convince them what?
That you're the company to choose.
Bingo. You're going to make it, man. You understand the concepts. You just need to twist some knobs and be more bold in your decision making. That's what a true CEO is he just confidently makes decisions in the midst of uncertainty. Generally
Hmm.
speaking, thank God you don't have a lot of money, because if you could do a lot with a little, you'll be trusted with a lot, won't you? That's what the
Yeah.
promise is, isn't it?
Hmm.
Okay, so let's get back to Facebook ads. What you want to do is, yes, you want to run Facebook ads, but here's the cool part about that is that you can actually influence how well they do simply by having a presence on camera. So that's the unique advantage that you can actually create as a business owner by fearlessly getting on camera and building relationships with people who are driving around. So let's go back to my example. You're driving around and outside there's a mascot with the owner out there in a pizza mascot and making you laugh. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
well now I want to go see that because that was cool. Or maybe you educate your customers on what you do and they click on your ad because they like you and they want to do business with you. So the reason I'm saying all this is because you do need a healthy mix. The mistake most people make is that they try to run these ads themselves. You need an expert to help you, and you need
Okay.
to pay that expert to get you results. You need the right expert. You don't just hire the local person who does ads. You hire someone that eats, sleeps, and breathes Facebook ads for painting contractors. You want a specialist. It's the same way you would go to your customer and you would say, well, why would you hire a roofer to paint your house? Well, because he said he does that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like that makes no sense. He specializes in roofing. Let him be
Makes
a
no
roofer.
sense. Specializes it. But guess what? You charge a premium price because not right now you offer a premium service because the owner's actually going to be doing the work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sure when you price jobs, you're pricing very emotionally. What is it that's going to require me to come here and actually do this on my own? Here's the price. If you take this, now I'll feel comfortable doing it. We got to
Yeah.
get out of that mindset because when we become a business owner, it's all about X's and O's. It's all about profitability. What is the bottom line margin? What's the top line margin? Because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be a broker and you're buying and selling labor. That is capitalism. So you agreed with that helper or that painter that you hired on a certain dollar amount per hour. What was it?
$16 an hour. He has 1 to 2 years
Okay,
experience.
16 bucks. It's fine. Whatever. It's great. $16 an hour. Okay. Your job is to not sell a paint job for less than $16 an hour. Okay. In labor.
Yeah.
Your job is to sell the labor portion of that job, even though you bundle the paint and the supplies and the labor together. Ideally, as you grow, you're going to want to figure out how much of that is supplies and how much of that is labor. And you can do that in drip jobs once you kind of build out your system. But
Hmm.
essentially what winds up happening is you got to make sure that that labor cost per hour covers you, him, and the teammates and the profit. So generally speaking, you're going to want to sell your jobs for $80 to $100 an hour. Okay. And that's just, I'm just showcasing to you that this is just math. It can't be based off of feelings. You're going to lose jobs if you calculate the emotional and physical pain that you're going to go through in doing a job yourself. Okay.
Exactly,
Because
because the customer doesn't worry
I
about
don't
it.
want you to I don't want you to market and get real good at marketing and get leads, and then your price is too high, and
Yeah.
you're pricing because you're doing the work. So we're buying and selling labor. We're training our team. We're selling a service. So the team costs X amount per day. You need to make sure you just sell the job for more than that costs, and
Hmm.
that's how you make a profit. Okay, is all this stuff helping?
100%. And I'm trying to be take as many notes as I can. I do have a question with that. So, like you're saying, pricing a job between 80 and $100 an hour. If it's two people, are you pricing it strictly at $80 an hour, or are you doing that $80 per man hour?
So it's $80 per man hour. So you have to understand. Well, it's $8 per man hour. That's kind of how
Hmm.
it breaks down. But let's just keep it simple. When I first started, I had two guys. Let's just say they were getting paid $20 an hour each.
Hmm.
Okay. I would look at a job and I'd say that job is going to take us 2 days to do. So the first thing I need to do is figure out how much does it cost me to keep those guys busy and staffed and paid for 2 days. So you would think 20 times 8 times 2. So
160,
160
320.
times 2 is 320. So that's how much I have to pay those guys to work here for 2 days. Okay.
Hmm.
Then I'd go, how much paint? And I'd say it's 10 gallons at $30 a gallon. That's $300. So now my total cost for the project is $660. Okay. Put that together. That's your total all in cost. So all I got to do is sell it for $700 and I make $40, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, obviously we're not going to do that. I generally double it. So I'll sell it for $1,300. That's a 50% gross profit margin.
Hmm.
That's where you start. And then you negotiate from there. So your next journey after you figure out this marketing thing is focusing on your sales and how you convert leads to sales, because it's not always your marketing agency. It's your sales ability. Because if me and you go head to head, with my experience, I'm probably gonna beat you unless you build a better relationship with the customer.
Hmm.
If you and the customer find a connection point that I either don't find important enough to look for or just can't relate to, then you have a chance to win. That's what's magical about this business, is that it's an emotional business. In other words, me and you might bid on the same commercial project, and I might find an area of common ground with the project manager that you didn't find, but your price might be lower, and they're willing to take that risk because all they care about is transaction. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Yes, sir.
That's why it's important to get good at sales, because the upside to that is unlimited. Okay.
And I will say, I feel
So we
like that's a
talked
good
about,
strong point for me is when I do get in front of people, my close rate's usually around 40%. So if I have,
okay,
luckily if I get 10 estimates scheduled up, I'm going to be closing four for that month.
sure. So here's the good news, Ashton. The good news is that it sounds like anyone that comes on this, man, is like somebody that's willing to learn, willing to grow. I've done, man, probably 400 of these, okay, over the years. Maybe 10% come back, 5% grow their businesses beyond me, which I love. I love hearing success stories. I'm going to tell you what the 5% do that the other ones don't. They take action fearlessly. The resources are there. The marketing agencies are there. I'm going to give you the resources when we're done. I'll tell you who to hire. Are you actually going to hire them? Are you actually going to follow through with it? Are you going to risk it?
That's going to be
The
on them.
roadmap's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The roadmap's already there. You're not doing anything that hasn't been done before. All you've got to do is follow the proven path and then do it your way. after you figure out that it's just a set of principles of hiring a coach to coach you through and save you time. That's an investment to be held accountable, and then hiring a marketing agency so you don't have the burden of finding work. And if you're already good at word of mouth, great. Supplement your word of mouth with a proven system. Because once you
Hmm.
get the confidence of the leads coming in, then the hiring confidence comes into play. And these things are going to be the thing you balance for the rest of your time as a business owner. More leads, more painters. Less painters, less leads. It's a endless. I'm balancing it to this day in my painting business after 10 years. It's still a matter of how many jobs do we have? Is the wait time too long? Do I need to add painters? Or is work really slow? Do we need to scale down the hiring? It never stops. So learn it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, man, before we go?
Not at all, man. I really appreciate all the help.
Cool, man. So I'll send you a message after this with some resources for you to help kickstart you. I talked about the apps that I wanted you to be a student of. The other one was Gusto. By the way, are you familiar with Gusto?
I'm not.
So how do you plan on paying that painter that you hired?
Check. I make him a 1099.
Okay, got it. So it's illegal. Just being honest with you, it's not something that you're doing purposely. It's just if you want to do business by the book,
Hmm.
get him on payroll, and it's easy to
Okay.
set up through Gusto. Okay. Um, Generally speaking, whenever you sub something, you want them to have their own insurance. You want them to have their own LLC. You want them to have their own liability. That is the legitimate subcontractor model, kind of like how someone's doing to you.
Hmm.
Can we expect someone who's getting paid $16 an hour to hold a general liability policy? No, we cannot.
No.
So you need to hire him as an employee. And what does that do for him though? Really what it does is it actually holds you in a higher regard because it's like, oh wow, this guy's legitimate. So we need
Hmm.
to create that perception for the people that we hire as well because you're expecting quality. Quality, I'm telling you right now, I would not work for you. And that's simply because of how you chose to pay me because I can't rent an apartment if you're just giving me checks.
Yeah. I gotta be able to have it, like your
Does that
pay
make sense?
stub and everything. Yeah.
I have pay stub. Highly suggest you get this book, man. It's my book, 31 Days of Value. And I think it's got everything that you need in here with kingdom based principles. It outlines pretty much everything we talked about because I kind of repeat a lot of the same principles. But hiring, building the teams, the systems, everything's in here. Okay. Highly suggest that. But I'll
I'll
send you
get it.
some links and I'll send you, yeah, man, I'll send you some links. I'll send you some resources. And if you ever want to come back on here, feel free.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your time today, Tanner.
Of course, man. Appreciate you.